Okay, Biwot ni coordinate. Nataka kwenda kwa nyuma kunywa chai. Yep, acha niambie Biwot aingie. Yes, Bwana Biwot, can you hear me? Bwana Biwot, connect your mic. You have not connected your mic. Hapo kwa simu kuna mahali unaambiwa ufinye mahali kuna kaka mic. Unatumia laptop ama simu? Pick call.
Bwana Washira. Yes, Bwana Washira.
Uja connect mic yako. Umeipata? Sawa, iko sawa sasa. Okay. If I may ask, Bwana Biwot, do you have anything that you're sharing, like PDF or a picture or anything? Hello, Biwot. Bwana Biwot, unanisikia? Pande yako?
Bwana Washira. Yes, Bwana Washira. Mambo. Nakuona tu lakini sikusikii. Sikusikii. Wewe unanisikia? Sikusikii. Washira, halo. Kuna sawa.
Ndio ni connect. Sahi Bwana Biwot, umenisikia?
Bwana Washira?
Yes, nakusikia sasa.
Bwana Washira?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Unanisikia mimi? Okay, Bwana Biwot. I see like Mr. Oboge is here. He's taking over. Unmute yourself, Bwana Biwot.
Yes, Bwana Wachira.
Yes, nakusikia sasa. Unanisikia mimi?
Wachira, you okay?
Bwana Munyeri?
Yes, Bwana Wachira.
Okay, sawa. Ndiko basi.
No.
Hakuna
I want you to continue. Mr. Wachira.
Okay. Sawa
I
sawa.
want you to continue as I assist Mr. Musumba here.
Okay. No problem.
Just continue, yes.
Okay.
I'll just leave.
Sikusikia bana, unanisikia? Nimeweka iko hebu sikia sasa.
Bwana Biwot, can you hear now?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, now we can hear you on our side. Even the student can hear you.
Wapi unanipata?
Yeah, I was asking, do you have anything that you're sharing? Maybe an exam or anything?
For now, I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah. Wachira. Yes, good morning, everyone. I think we still have about 2 more minutes, and I can see we have 13 participants. Let's give them about 5 minutes so that maybe the number can go up. So let's give another 5 more minutes, then we start our lesson. Just be patient, only for 5 minutes. The new program began, but I think going forward we will be able to do 1 or 2 things that will make you attend those lessons. Today, I really intend to go through the work that we've covered since you joined high school. It is unfortunate that the pandemic struck when we had only covered very little work in high school. Nonetheless, I think it is a blessing in disguise. So let's first of all lay the ground rules. When you are in class, I expect that we become attentive. If you have any question, you raise your hand. I'll be able to let you ask whatever you want to ask. Unmute yourself, then ask the question. I think there is basic rules that we need to know. Now let's begin our lesson by maybe taking you through the Form 1 work. At the same time, I think it should be very clear to the minds that we did an exam, an online exam. Again, we did the midterm exam. And the two exams showed a lot of things to us as teachers, because we realized that you don't have the examination language. See, Manuel, we are in class, please. Yes. It showed me that many of us don't know how to answer those questions. And I think it is very important for you to listen keenly, so that you need to know what we as teachers require from your answers. You don't have to throw your answers. You need to put them systematically. I'll be able to take you through the Form 1 work that we've done. I think we have only done 2 topics, that is Introduction to Geography, the Earth and the Solar System. Those are the only 2 topics that we have done. Nonetheless, there is much that we can talk about. So for this lesson, we intend to cover the 2 lessons and I tell you what is expected of you and how you are supposed to attempt those questions. So that maybe the next lesson, God willing, we'll be able to begin climate as not climate, weather as a topic. Is a wide one, which we can take us up to weeks us to cover. So today, as I said, we intend to go through Introduction to Geography and Earth and the Solar System. I'll be able to throw in some questions, and I expect that we will be able to answer them accordingly. An interactive session where we are learning. You need to ask those questions. You also need to clarify some of the things that may not be very clear to some of us. I think I also forgot that I'm handling the whole class, the Form 1 class, and possibly some of us could be asking themselves, who could this person be? Because I only handle Form 1 East geography class. So those of us who are in East, I think they are familiar with this voice, but the rest of us could be wondering, who could this person be? Mr. Biwot, a geography teacher in Mangu, and currently I've been in the Form 1 East. So let's go straight to the main points, or the main area that I intended to cover. I wanted us to go through basically the work that we've covered, so that we are able to remind ourselves on the things that are very fundamental in terms of understanding the geographical concepts. Geography, as you must have realized, is an interesting subject. There are some myths and some things that possibly you didn't understand, or you at the moment you may not be able to understand, but with time, as you go forward, you will be able to understand all the concepts. How was the earth formed? What is this sun? And many other theories that geography tries to explain. Now, straight to the point. The first lesson, I think we began by introducing the term geography. What is it? And I think it is still very clear to your minds that the term geography is not an English word, and it was borrowed from a certain language. Who can tell us the language and what are the two terms that the geography is derived from? Yes, I've seen Calvin. Calvin, you can tell us. Calvin, you unmute yourself. Calvin. Yes, Manuel, I can see your hand is up. Yes. I'm waiting. You're not audible enough.
Yes.
Yes. Sorry, I'm not getting you. Manuel, I can see you are doing some things with your head. You can help us describe the term environment. Yes, please. Manuel. I can see Alex.
Yes,
Tell us
so
what- yes.
the environment refers to the external conditions surrounding a living organism and influence its development and behavior.
You've said environment is
The external conditions surrounding an organism and which influence its development and behavior.
now that is it, and I think in an exam you not have gotten it right. Now I think you have the concept yes right, but I said you don't have the examination language that can earn you a mark. Now, when you look at the environment, basically you will realize that it has two types: the physical environment and the human environment. Therefore, when I, as an examiner or a teacher, ask you what an environment is, at the back of my mind, I need to be shown by your description that you understand that we have the two types of environment. And you need, therefore, to tell us that environment refers to all. The term all there is very important. All. ALL, yes. It refers to all the external things that influence the behavior, the movement, the character of a living organism. Okay, fine. I have no problem with the other part, but I have a problem with the first part, where you didn't have all. Now you need from what Alex talked about, I think it was correct, only that it did have the word all, which is very important. If you don't have the word all, then you can easily lose that mark. You can easily lose that mark. I think it is very clear. I've seen students come to complain that some things were not marked right, not knowing that they missed by a simple thing. And those are the small things that can make students not get a mark. I can see Jay his hand is still up. Maybe he has something to tell us.
I wanted to answer the question.
Okay, fine. Now answer it correctly now.
Environment refers to all external conditions surrounding an organism in its natural habitat and influences its behavior.
Yes, I think it is now very correct, given that he's added the word all. And that is very key for us to get those points. It is very important for us to get them. Now, the next part is, now once we've known what geography is, yes, I think the next term we've not talked about is the ecology, a very simple one. Can we have people telling us what ecology is? No, we don't have to have a situation whereby Manuel and Jay is dominating the class. Let's have other people. Okay, fine. Manuel,
Yes.
tell us what ecology is.
Ecology is defined as the study of the distribution of living organisms on the Earth's surface.
I think that part doesn't have complications. It is just straightforward. It is just as clear as what Manuel has given to us. Okay, fine. We can just move forward and look at now geography itself as a subject has branches, and it has three branches, but the two are the main ones. I have a reason why I'm saying that. I've said it has three branches, but it has two main branches. There are some questions that can ask, give three branches of geography, then you can just give the three. But if the question requires you to give the main branches, then you need to stick to the main branches. We have the three branches. We have the physical geography. We have the second one, human and economic geography. We also have the last one, which is practical geography. I have no problem with the first one, the physical geography. Most of you normally get it straight. I have no problem with that one. I have a problem with the second one. If you ask students to give the two main branches of geography, the second one, they normally tell us human geography, which is very wrong. Maybe that question is asked in an exam and it appears very easy. You just write human geography. Get out of the class, exam room, thinking that you've gotten everything, only to realize that you got it wrong. We normally stick to human and economic. You need to tell us the two. And that is why I'm telling you, as I was looking through, as I was going through your papers, I realized that some of you didn't have the exam language. What are those things that makes you earn a mark? If you say human geography alone, you will not get it from me. You need to tell us it is human and economic geography. That is the point, the type of branch you normally get it wrong. Manuel, I think you are disturbing us. Okay, fine. Now, once you've known the three types of geography and the technicalities involved, it is also very important if we go through some areas that we normally ask in an exam. We can say, for example, I can just try to coin a question. Which are the areas that we study in human geography? Which are the areas that we study in human and economic geography? Which are the areas that we study in practical geography? Now, those are questions that takes up to 3 or 4 marks, or even at most 5 marks. Now, when we say physical geography, we refer to the physical environments. We refer to those things that comes naturally, like a river, like a mountain. Nobody can boast of, I created this river, I created this mountain, I created that valley. Now, when you talk of physical, we are basically talking of those things that are so natural. We just found them in existence. So those are the things, and there are so many. And somebody can ask you, which are the topics in geography that falls under physical geography? There are so many. Solar and the Earth and the solar system. Nobody can boast that I created this Earth. And please, when we are doing geography, somebody can say God created the Earth and the sun and everything. So please, our understanding on the CRE, please, not really confuse us here. We are talking about geography, and it has their own ways of describing how the earth came about, irrespective of our religion. So we have some things like mountains, we have some things like rivers, as I said, that they are there naturally. So we have topics that are studied in physical geography, like the earth and the solar system. We have the weather. Weather is natural. We have rocks and minerals. We have vegetation. We have climate. We have rivers. We have mountains. We have lakes. Those things are physical in nature. They are natural in nature. Then when we talk of human and economic geography, we are talking of those economic activities that man engages in, and by so doing is able to earn some money. Like agriculture, that is a human activity. You can do it by yourself. You can do trading. We can have wildlife and tourism. You can realize those are things that are human, and they bring money in itself. And therefore they are referred to as, and there are so many. You can just list about 7 of them. One, I've said it is agriculture. Number 2 is mining. Number 3 is forestry. Number 4 is wildlife and tourism. Number 5 is trading. Number 6 is maybe fishing. Number 7 is maybe you can just study energy or industrialization. There are so many. These are things that are done by human beings, or they are practiced by human beings, and by so practicing they are able to earn some money, and they fall under branch number 2. And remember, it is a main branch: human and economic geography. And the last one, which is not a major one but a minor one, which is practical geography. I think here we have I think 2. We have 1, fieldwork. You need to listen to this because there are only 2 or 3, and at times you can really ask yourself, hey, what are those areas that we can study under practical geography? I said number 1 is fieldwork, and number 2 is maps and map work. Those are the only 2 areas that practical geography is engaged in. We are going on well. If someone has a question, Kelly, your hand is still up. Kelly? Kelly?
Sure.
Yes.
On practical geography, how about adding stratigraphy method and photography work?
Oh yes. I think very good. But I think we can have photograph work falls under practical geography. But when you talk of statistics, my thinking on it is it appears more of yes. Practical geography, I think there are 4. We have fieldwork, we have map and map work, we have photograph work, and some bit of statistical methods, where you are supposed to go to the field, you count the number of cars, you count the number of bicycles. It is more practical. I think, Kelly, that is good of you. It means you have been in contact with your books, and that is plausible. Well, let's go ahead and look at some of the things that you need to know, and especially how you should tackle those questions that normally can be asked in an exam. Now the next part is what are the importance of geography, studying geography? A very simple one, but I've never known why students get it wrong. I know of one point that you need the teacher's advice for you to earn a mark. Otherwise, the rest of the points are so straightforward. Maybe you can just have some reasons why we need to study geography. You can have students. Yes, I've seen the Dennis.
Yes.
Yes. What are the reasons why? Sorry?
It makes us understand the earth on which we live.
Yes, you are able to understand well the earth in which we live in. That is very correct. Bravin. Bravin? Yes?
Geography is a career subject.
Now, I think this is the point that I really wanted to have my input for you to earn such a mark. If somebody puts his point as geography is a career subject, I think you will not be able to score unless you qualify your answer. You need to qualify your answer for that to earn a mark. For example, we have some careers that just not need geography. We have careers that you can just have your own things and you can just choose not to take geography and still you'll have your own career. Now, for you to have that points correct and be marked correctly, you tell us it is entry to careers such as, you give examples of those careers that you need to study geography for you to be in those careers. Otherwise, when you leave that point hanging, I can tell you for free, you will not get that point correct. Bravin.
Yes.
I think it is very clear, right?
Yes.
Now, which career do you have to have geography for you to have been entry to?
Careers like surveying.
Yes.
And photogrammetry.
Yes.
Photography work. Yes.
And many others. We have meteorology. We have you cannot become a geography teacher if you didn't study geography. If you cannot be a surveyor if you didn't if you've not studied geography. So you need to tell us some of those careers that you need to study for you to be enrolled to. We have many other reasons why we need to study geography. Hello. Roy. Roy. Roy is not with us. Simon. Simon. Hello. Adrian.
It promotes awareness of sustainable energy. I mean, sustainable resources.
You can give us an example of a sustainable resources.
Such as wind, sunlight.
Okay, fine. Now, the concept of geography, you'll be able to learn so many things. I think geography is intertwined with physics, and in that sense, we have some things like the duration of an HEP. You will be able to understand that for us to have an HEP, hydroelectric power, you need to have a certain river somewhere because it is generated from rivers, from a waterfall somewhere. And for you to have power, we need water in being sufficient. And therefore, you will be able to save on some resources like forest, or yes, forest, for us to have good supply of water, in essence, which will help us in the production of HEP. So with the understanding of geography, you are able to know so many things that will, so given that you know how important water is, you are able to save on it. Dennis? Another point?
It provides knowledge about the immediate environment and the study of the origin and composition of the earth.
For now, that point may not make a lot of sense, but because we've learned the nebula cloud theory, the passing star theory, the earth, you'll be able to understand the composition of the earth, that it is made up of the crust, it is made up of so many things, the materials that broke from this sun, as this unique star was moving around. So you are able to know the composition of the sun, the composition of the earth, I mean. By studying geography, you'll be able to learn those theories, and therefore you somehow know the composition of the earth, which is very important. Because if you not had a scenario whereby you study the formation of the earth through any of the theories, it can really be a problem. For example, if I can ask you a very simple question. Wewe ukichimba uende huko chini utafika wapi?
Sijui.
Mumu, I think that question is with understanding of the geography, you will be able to understand that it broke from the materials, and these materials were very hot, and you will be able to understand that possibly we'll have some rocks there, we'll have some water, and going downwards deeper inside the earth's surface, there is a possibility of it being hotter. The more you go inside, the more it becomes hot. So
Yes.
that is a concept that we learn it through geography, as we'll be able to explain it later. Among the so many other reasons why we study geography, I think what is key for us is just to have what is really necessary for us to say that we need to earn those marks in an exam situation. I mean, there are so many, but you can go through your work. I think your teachers must have given you good notes that can really help you understand all the content that you need to know. Now, the next part, which is very important, is a relationship between geography and other subjects. A relationship between geography and other subjects. You were taught in class that when you are asking such a question, you need to tell us the two relationships. For example, I can use the relationship between math and geography. You need to tell us how math relates to geography. I've said you need to tell us how math relates to geography and how geography relates to math. If you give us one way, you'll not get it right. And I think we've repeated this for quite some time. And it is good for us that we listen to this. I think for the last 2 or 3 years in KCSE, we've not missed this question. So it is an area that you need to listen to, and you need to know how you should attempt those questions. I've said the area that we are looking at is relationship between geography and other subjects. Now let's look at an example, what I mean when I say you need to tell us the 2 ways. Geography and the other one, the other subject in question, and how that subject in question with geography. Now let's use an example to make it more sensical. Now, relationship between math and mathematics and geography. Listen to me carefully. Mathematical techniques are used in drawing, graphs, pie charts. I've said you use math. In geography, you talk about statistics, where you'll be drawing graphs. Now you'll use the mathematical concepts in drawing the pie chart. You will use mathematical formulas like calculating area, like calculating density. Those are mathematical concepts. You use them in geography. Now let's look at how geography helps math. Geography helps math in calculating longitudes, in calculating distances. Now, longitudes is a concept that we learn in geography. Distance is a concept that we learn in geography. Now, you need geography for you to understand what is distance, what is longitudes. When you go east of 0 degrees, it becomes east. West of, it is divided in between 2, the prime meridian. That is, it cuts across some place in Accra. Toward the East African side, it is east. Kuelekea huko America huko ni west. Those are things that we study in geography. But again, you need them. You need this concept that we study in geography, and you need to apply it in some place in math. In Form 4, for example, to be more realistic, we'll have a topic in math, not geography, where we'll be talking of latitudes and longitudes. Now, let me ask you that question. If supposing you open a book, and page 1, it has latitudes and longitudes, possibly you'll conclude that this book belongs to geography, which is not the case. We have a topic in Form 4 in math, where we'll be learning about longitudes and latitudes. Those are concepts that we use in math. We also of doing graphs. I've said these are concepts that we find them in mathematical classes. Pie chart, those are not geographical terms. That is mathematical terms. But we need to borrow. We borrow from math, and math borrows from geography. Now, that is the 2 ways in which I was just trying to make it clear to everyone. Then you need to tell us the 2 ways in which geography borrows with math, for example, and how math borrows from geography. If you tell us one side, you are not likely to get it right. Now, I think I need to ask, maybe I could just give another. Now, let's look at history and geography. Then I'll ask you questions on how biology and many other subjects relate to geography. Now, in history, we know of people like the Kushites, like the Nilotes, like the Bantus. Those are, I think, are they? Yes, groups of people. Now we will be told that Nilotes, for example, came from some place in the Sudan. Or yes, I think so. Bantus, for example, we are told that they came from some place in the West Africa. Now, West Africa is, you can see the borrowing. Now, the Bantus, the Nilos, the Kushites, as a geography teacher, I may not really know much about them. But now I'll be able to borrow from history, and they'll tell me these are communities. Now, geography comes in place, and they tell us the distribution. They tell us they came from West Africa. They tell us the Kushites, the Nilotes maybe came from, the Nilotes came from Sudan. Now, Sudan is not a historical word. Another thing is in your history from one, I think one of the topics that you must have done, where we talk of the archaeological sites, where the first human being, I think those are the things that we normally learn in history. Now, okay, fine, that is historical thing. But again, geography will tell us the distribution, where they are found. Now we can still use another example for us to really understand well. Now, geography and agriculture, for example. Geography and agriculture. Now, agriculture, we all understand it all talks about farming and many things. Now, we'll have things like in agriculture, we'll be talking of planting of tea, we'll be talking of planting of maize, we'll be talking of planting of wheat, dairy farming, and many things. Now, geography will come in place and tell us the distribution. Now, you can see the interrelationship between the two. You can see the interrelationships, whereby geography tells us where we're likely to get tea in Kenya, where we're likely to find coffee in Kenya, so that you just not go around looking for where you can get your coffee. Geography will help you in telling the distribution and factors that influence, that affect these crops. These are things that we study in geography. Now, I have given you how we look at the interrelationship. I've said we give them in two ways. Now, like this one, I think when I was talking about agriculture, I really wanted you to see the interrelationship. But now let's look at it this way. Geography, agriculture talks about the distribution of some crops. We study in geography, like tea and one that I've said. Now, geography will help agriculture in telling, one, the distribution, and two, factors influencing the distribution of these crops. It will help somebody who practices agriculture, a farmer, for example. It will help that these are the factors. Like it needs rainfall and what amount does it require to flourish well. Now, geography will be able to make it easy for this person who want to practice coffee farming. Now, geography will tell him, for you to practice coffee farming, we need an acidic soil. You need a rainfall of about 1,500 millimeters. Now, this farmer will be able to make wise decisions, given that the geographer has enabled him, has given him some information on how this can be carried on. So please have your time, go through those questions, those subjects that relate to geography. Mine is just but to give you the guidance, guide you on how you are supposed to go about with those questions. Last year, not last year, 2018. There were, I think I may not really recall how it was framed, but it had 4 marks. And the question was this way. Give or describe the relationship between geography and, maybe you can just talk of agriculture for this case. The relationship between geography and agriculture, 4 marks. If I decide today as your geography teacher, I decide to repeat the same question. Like, what is the relationship between geography and agriculture? How does it relate? 4 marks. How many of you will get it right? Yes? Steve? Steven Muride? Steven Muride? Muride? Okay, fine. I can see Jay is very ready to answer that question. The relationship between geography, yes?
Geography uses agriculture information to study types of farming and factors influencing agriculture, while agriculture uses geography to locate where agricultural activities were carried out.
Now read the first part.
Pardon?
The first relationship. I think you've given us 2 ways.
Geography uses agricultural information to study types of farming and factors influencing agriculture.
Now, when you say that, you get 2 marks.
Yes.
You tell us the relationship and how geography helps in the distribution of such activities like farming, dairy farming, or crop farming, you get the 2 marks. Then go ahead.
And agriculture uses geography to locate where agricultural activities were carried out.
Now, when you give us the second explanation, just as Jay has given us, you get your marks. Now, you know, it was a bit scary, and because you were wondering, what is it that I need to write for me to get the 4 marks? You give us the first, just as Jay gave us, you get 2 marks. The second description, you get your 2 marks. Okay. I think so far so good. Now, Earth, and I think the next topic is we need to talk about the Earth and the solar system. The Earth and the solar system. I want us to go through some, but I think I have some questions here. A minute, please. I'm just trying to look at some questions that can be asked in under the Earth and the solar system, because I know you have the notes. And now you need to know what are some of the questions that can be asked. One is, we all know the shape of the Earth, that the Earth is of a certain shape. It is a shape that it is neither a cycle, it is neither a sphere, it is in between a cycle and a sphere. Then what is this shape that is in between a cycle or a square? Then we said it is called a geoid. Now look at the spelling carefully. I know you have them from your books. In some instances, students has tried and is recalled that is called a geoid. But now he misses the mark by not recalling or remembering how it is spelled. Therefore, you need to know the spelling of a geoid. If you don't like that one, you can say it is called an oblate spheroid. It's called an oblate spheroid. Koitamez. Calvin?
Yes.
Calvin?
Yes.
I can see your hand is up.
Yes. The spelling of geoid.
Yes.
Is Geoid.
Yes, I think just as he said, and it was just by an emphasis that you needed to know that the spelling of a geoid is very important. However much you recall, you need to be also able to write it correctly. Now I said it is called a geoid or an oblate spheroid. An oblate spheroid. Now many things have been said about the Earth, the shape, and it is as a result of some three forces. There is one force that makes the poles flatten. There is another force that makes the center to bulge. There is also another force that gives it a rounding effect. It makes it round. Hapo katikati ya equator inakaa imebulge. There are force that makes it bulge that way. If you look at the force, it is somehow flattened. Huko juu, the 90, huko chini. If you look at the globe, it makes it bulge. There is somehow again, it appears it is somehow round. There are three forces. There are three forces. And I would wish that someone reminds us the force and the effect on the force on the shape of the Earth. We have the force and the effect. I can see a number of you really want to respond to this. We have the three effects. We have the three forces. Now this means that we have three of you respond to this question. You give us the force and the effect on the shape of the Earth. I think Ryuki was among the first people who rose the hand up. Kelvin, Ryuki?
Yes.
Go ahead.
We have the bulging at the equator.
Yes.
It is caused by the centrifugal force.
Now, we have the force called centrifugal force. Now, this force is responsible for the bulging of
the equator.
Areas around the equator. Yes, very good. Now, Alex, the next one.
Teacher,
Yes.
the flattening of the poles, centripetal force.
Centripetal force makes, they pull materials towards the center of the earth. Now the force appears to be flattened, right?
Yeah.
So centripetal flattening of the poles. Now finally we have, let's have who is the other one? Who not Tom.
Yes, gravitational force.
Sure.
We have gravitational force that pushes everything on the earth towards its centers from all directions.
So
gravitational force pushes everything. It pushes everything towards the center of the earth.
Now what is the effect? Now Tom has not given us the effect of the gravitational force, where he said that it pushes everything toward the center of the equator, at the center of the earth. Now what is the effect? The question now is, what effect does it have to the shape of the earth? Maybe you can have somebody.
Okay. Gravitational force pulls everything near it towards its center, and this causes a rounding effect on the earth.
Yes, now the effect is the rounding effect. You give us the force versus the effect it has on the shape of the earth. So you can now somehow, or not even somehow, you must have now understood why the earth has the shape that it has. It is because of a number of reasons. And the reasons are three, basically. That we have because of the centrifugal force, we have because of the centripetal force and the gravitational force, which makes the earth appears to be round. That is it. That is why it is neither circular, it is neither oval, it is neither spherical, but the perfect shape is a spheroid. Not yes, an oblate spheroid. Now the next part is now once we've seen those forces that result to the shape of the earth, let's look at the solar, not before we get to the solar system, let's still get to the earth. Now the earth in itself, I think maybe you can just postpone it so that we get to learn things bit by bit. Now, the Earth falls under the solar system. And for us really to understand this concept, we need to start by understanding. I really wanted us to begin from the Earth because that is where we live and basically where we have a good understanding of. We begin from those things that we know, to those things that we may not really be able to know. Now, I've said the Earth falls under the solar system. And we have the term itself, the solar system. Now we need to know what is solar system by its definition. What is solar system? And I know the 72 of us, if I ask you this question, a good number of us may not be correctly. They may not be able to get it correctly. And maybe we can just sample out on the 5 hands that I've seen they've written their hands. We will realize that out of the 5 of the 10 of you, half of you may not get it right. Let's begin from the first one. I think I've seen the Nixon.
Okay. The solar system consists of the sun, the planets orbiting around it, and other heavenly bodies.
You've heard him. I have my judgment on him. We have Twin Karaoke.
The solar system is a composition of the sun, which is at the center, the 8 planets and other heavenly bodies.
Kelvin, I'll tell you if you got it or you didn't.
Okay, the solar system.
Steven Muraidi.
Yes, the solar system is a group of heavenly bodies comprising of the sun and all objects that orbit the sun.
I don't know if you got it or you didn't. Kelvin Koitamet. Kelvin, yes.
Yes, teacher. Excuse me.
Yes.
I would like to ask.
Yes.
What is Coriolis force?
Yes, we will explain that when we'll be talking about rotation of the Earth. It is, yes, it is. Bado iko hapo mbele. Then we are talking about the definition of the solar system. Alex Mbui.
It's a group of heavenly bodies comprising of the central sun, the 8 planets, and other heavenly bodies revolving around or between individual planets.
Revolving? Okay. Leonard Musa.
The solar system is a group of heavenly bodies comprising of the sun and other celestial bodies.
Okay, fine. I'll tell you in a short while if you got it or you didn't. Eric.
Yes, the solar system is made up of the sun with the 8 planets orbiting around it.
Okay, fine. I think we've put on a good number of samples and we did now see who got it and who didn't. Okay, fine. The solar system is comprised of the sun. Okay, fine. We've had a good number of students responding to this question, where they have given their views. I think most of you got it right, and at the same time, a good number of you got it wrong again. Now, however much you tell us the composition of the solar system by telling us the sun, the 8 planets, the asteroids, all those ones. If you don't tell us the orbit around the sun, if you don't go that far end where you tell us all these things that you've talked about, the sun, everything, it orbits around it, you will not get it right. You need to go to that end for you to get it right. And I think if I can still recall quite well, Alex, Karaoke, nani mwingine ni kama hakupata? Steven Muraidi ulipata? Yes. So the point is, you need to go to that end where you tell us that the orbit around it. There is an orbit. They have their own orbit that they. So please avoid giving us such points such as solar system is a group of heavenly bodies comprising the sun and the 9 planets. No, that is incomplete. You need to tell us that they orbit around it. Now that was just but a clarification, and you have seen why a good number of you may not get it correctly. Now we need to also, we've seen that the solar system is composed of so many things. Basically, everything that we can see, the earth that where we live in, it falls under the planets. The sun, which we depend on for many things, the stars, everything, even the meteors and the meteorites, everything you can talk of. It is basically the solar system. Now there comes again a question that everybody wants to know. This sun, these stars, all the heavenly bodies that you can think of, you can imagine of, this Earth, this Venus. Hey, what happened? How did it? Where all these things came about? Where is the origin? Just like you and me are wondering, the original of all these things, it has been thought by a good number of people, and they've given theories. They've given theories to explain. No, a theory is just but unproven facts. So they've come about theories that try to explain to us the origin of all this solar system, the Earth and the planets, and other planets, the sun and all the other heavenly bodies, their origin. We have about 5 theories that has been propounded, and they're not even 5, they're about 7 or so. But again, today we may not really go to that extent. We'll only talk of the 2 main ones, which are in our syllabus. If you look at certificate form 1, you'll realize that we have even up to 8 theories that has been said. We have planetices, protoplanets, we have, but the one that we will talk about today is nebula cloud theory and passing star theory. Now, just like as I said, these are things that have just been coined by some people. They have just been coined by some people, and they just try to somehow describe to us the formation or the origin of this solar system. Now, I don't know if they'll be able to convince us to believe in their theories. Now, let's listen to the first theory, where we'll be talking about the passing star theory. These are things that we've learned in class, and I remember when I was in class, as I was asking my students, there is a point that we were meeting, and I was telling them that if you don't tell us this point, there is no need for me to mark your work, because it doesn't really explain the formation of or the origin of the solar system. Maybe I can just ask one of you to describe to us. Then we see what is this that many of you may omit. I'm not saying that the person that I'll ask will omit some of the things, but I will tell you where many of you don't tell us. And if you don't tell us, I'll simply stop marking your work from where you know, if you've just given me 1 or 2 points, I'll mark the first 2 points. If you don't tell us this point, which I'll tell you, then you are likely to score 1 or 2 out of the possible 5 or 7 mark. We are talking about the passing star theory, and I would wish that someone reminds us what we said about the passing star theory. Kevin? Kevin?
Yes.
Yes, tell us the theory.
Yes. So, can you hear me?
Yes, you are clear. I can hear you.
Okay. It is suggested.
Yes.
That the sun, that there was a denser star than the sun, which had more gravitational pull than it.
We had two things. We had a star,
and we had the
and
sun.
this star was unique, right?
Yes.
Yes.
In this way,
We
it was
also
unique in
had
this
the
way
sun,
that,
right?
yes, it was
We had
unique
two
in this way.
things. I need you to pick up from there. We had two things. We had a unique star,
Yes.
and the sun,
And the
right?
sun. Yes.
Yes. Go ahead.
Now, this star, which had a greater gravitational pull than the sun,
yes,
as it was passing close to the sun,
yes,
it drew a stream of material in form of gas.
Yes.
This material,
yeah,
cooled,
yeah,
condensed and consolidated to form
Nimekupata.
the planets. Yes, to form the planets. While the smaller materials,
yeah,
formed the moon and other small heavenly bodies.
Okay, fine. Another person?
The star.
Yes.
Set them in the orbit before it disappeared.
Now, what is the force that made them set in the orbits?
Yes.
What made these heavenly bodies to be set in the orbits?
The star. It set them in the orbits before it disappeared.
Okay, fine. Somebody else? Muridi?
Okay, so let me try to remember. So there was the sun and there was a unique star, which was larger than the sun both in mass and volume. Sorry, both in mass and size, yes. The unique star was said to have a larger gravitational pull than the sun, and so it drew out some materials out of the sun.
Yes.
And it formed a lobate body. Yeah, a lobate body.
Yes.
Yeah. When the star got nearer, because it was passing the sun, that's why it's called passing star. When the star got nearer the sun,
yes,
its gravitational pull its gravitational pulled the materials towards it, making the filament that was formed, that was drawn from the sun, making the filament longer and in a way detached from the sun. So due to the gravitational force of the unique star, it followed the filament followed the star, And this rotary motion was what caused the revolution of the heavenly bodies on the sun. By the time, okay, when the star had finally passed, the filament cooled and condensed to form um, the 8 planets. Yeah, I think that's how much I can remember.
Okay, fine. We've given our own contribution, but I need to make some clarification on some things, which is very important for you to, and you will agree with me that yes, we had 2 bodies. We had the sun, and we also had the unique star. It is a unique star because it had greater gravitational force than the sun. Ideally, we are aware that the sun is so big and has greater gravitational pull than any of the stars or any heavenly body. But now this unique star was unique in its own way. It was bigger one. Then number 2 of great importance was number 2. It had greater gravitational force than the sun. Now, and it was rotating around the sun. As this unique star was rotating around the sun, it drew large quantities of gaseous material from the sun because of its gravitational force. It drew materials from the sun. Now, this is where most of you are not getting it right. The materials, the one that was drew from the sun, split. If it doesn't split, unajua umesema ati the materials were drawn from the sun. If materials are drawn from the sun and it doesn't split, then it will form one body, right? I think that is the sense that it has. If it doesn't split, we will have one body. Are we in agreement?
Yes.
Yes. Now you need to tell us, and I think Kariuki also made this error by not telling us the material split, which is very important. After splitting, materials cooled, condensed to form the solar system. You can go ahead and tell us the unique star. Before it disappeared, it was able to set all the heavenly bodies in their orbit. But the most important thing is many students normally forget splitting. And if you don't tell me split, then to me, I think you will not have the earth, you will not have the sun, you will not have the other heavenly bodies. It is only one object. But when we have the material splitting, it means we can have everything, right? Yes. So that is, in brief, the description of that theory, where it tries to describe to us the origin of this theory. Now I'm looking at this theory, the unique star, the sun, drawing materials splitting, the materials cooling, and many things that happen. I think it has some weaknesses, right? And we can agree that it has some weaknesses. So sorry for the interruption. Now we were looking at the weaknesses. You know, this is an area that we normally ask you to give the 3 weaknesses of the theory. And from the onset, this theory appears to be weak in nature because we are not furnished with some information. One is very clear is we are not told where the unique star and the sun came from. We don't know their history. How were they created? And again, we know the sun being part of the solar system. While we wanted to know the origin of the solar system. So the theory does not tell us ideally where the sun itself came from, where the unique star again came from. And if you look keenly at the composition of the solar system, you will find that the two feature. So they doesn't tell us the origin of the sun and the unique star. So that is a weakness number 1. Weakness number 2, maybe you can just have, I think we've had people not talking here. Jeff, admission 316. Jeff, I think Jeff is has chickened out. Jay.
The hot gaseous materials drawn from the sun by the passing star would have followed the passing star as it disappeared, since it had more gravitation than the sun.
You know, the star, the theory appears to lie to us. Inaonekana kabisa imetudanganya. Because maybe you can just imagine of a scenario like what the class that I teach, one is, or your class that you are in, then that bulb, the fluorescent that is in your class, falls as burns. Definitely, it will be emitting some heat somewhere, right? Now, the theory tells us that you will condense. The condense in this from this example is you will come together where that heat is coming from. Ati mtakuja pamoja pale hiyo fluorescence inaungulia where it is burning. And again, remember it is emitting a lot of heat, possibly in the range of 3. Maybe you can just talk of the fluorescent tube be emitting heat that is as high as maybe even up to 500 degrees Celsius. It is too hot. Na nyinyi wote mnaenda hapo, mnaenda kusanyika hapo. Now that is what the theory is telling us. But against what we know, if something of that nature falls in your class, for example, you will disperse from the windows, the louvers that are normally in your classes. Kila mtu anakimbia pande zake. So we expected that to happen. The materials, remember, it is from the sun, and the sun is very hot, and we are told the materials condensed. Ideally, it should have dispersed. So hapo ni kama wametudanganya kidogo. Our expectation was they could have dispersed rather than condensing. Finally, Eugene, you can give us the last one.
There are minimal chances of passing star.
Eugene?
Yes.
Tell us the last weakness. Now the last one is chances of another star approaching another one is approaching the sun is very minimal. chances of a star approaching the sun is very minimal. But this one is telling us we had a unique star which was approaching the sun. It is very minimal. Such occurrences are very near, it is near impossible. But again, they tell us it happened. So it is a weakness. I think we are remaining with at least, we are remaining with 1 minute for us to call it a day. We will not be able to move to the next theory, that is the nebula cloud theory. Unless someone has a question, I think we have started it off well. Only that maybe next lesson we will try to attach some videos to make it more interactive. However, I will wish to thank everyone for their time, for being with us, for being an active class. You've really done well. Unless someone has a question. Okay, fine. We can call it a day.